KLOS.
You're listening to a BBC Rock Hour special featuring the best in synthesizer rock from Britain. And now, the music of Ultravox, one of Britain's most respected synth bands. From their album Quartet, produced by George Martin, this is Reap the Wild Wind. Reap the Wild Wind. That's the sound of Ultravox from their album Quartet. From Ultravox, welcome to the programme Chris Cross and Midge Ure.
Hello.
Looking very elegant, we must say. Actually, Midge Ure looks as though he stepped out of the Australian bush.
I have.
Oh, that explains it. And Chris Cross looks vaguely military today, I'd say.
Yes.
This is obviously a throwback to the early days of Ultravox.
Yeah, it's a thing my father embedded in my sort of memory.
Gentlemen, this latest album for Ultravox, produced by George Martin, which on first sight isn't an obvious coupling. Now, how come you and George got together, Midge?
It started when we finished our last album, whatever that's called. We decided not to use the same producer. We'd used Connie Plank, who's a German producer, who's well known for producing bands like Kraftwerk and various other Germans. And we decided that we were getting a bit stuck down, you know, a bit bogged down with the same sound. It was a bit like a formula, yeah, and we didn't like that. So we racked our brains for 6 months trying to think of, a good producer, someone that we'd be sort of compatible with. And we went through all the usual old names, and someone suggested George Martin, which we thought was completely off the wall and probably impossible. So we tried for it, we went for it, and he said yeah, there was just no problem. And the only problem was actually trying to get time when we were available to do it, and he was available to do it with us. So we worked all that out, and he was very keen to do it.
He's not exactly associated, Chris, with synthesizer bands, is he?
No, not at all. He sort of gets a bit fed up with people thinking that he hasn't done anything since the Beatles. And he has actually done quite a few little things, like I did a little river band and a few other bits and pieces.
They're pretty big things, actually.
Yeah. Not
names you can pull out of the air like that, yes.
And it's weird because he likes playing with all the modern technology that's available. And like he just was really excited when he could work with us because he could, play with all the new toys and
drum machines and synthesizers. And
of course, he used synthesizers with the Beatles back in about '68.
That's right. Yeah, he told us that. He said that things like Revolver and
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. That's quite a good album.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. And yeah, he actually used the original Moogs built by Robert Moog in America. So. Yeah, he said, but those things took up an entire room to get one sound out of it. So.
Nowadays, the same machine is much, much smaller.
Yeah, the tiny compact things.
Do you think that George Martin actually did add or change the sound of Ultravox at all?
He changed certain areas, like with Midge's vocals. He definitely...
He made me sing in tune for a start.
Is he a hard taskmaster, then, that he really comes in and says, no, that isn't good enough?
George Tuss was more... He was more like a fifth member of the band. He was like an outside opinion because we're very much into doing it all ourselves, and almost producing it ourselves and arranging this stuff ourselves. And if we get bogged down, on a particular point, that's when we like to bring in the producer and get his opinion. And it's good to be someone that all of us respect because we're very strongly opinionated characters anyway. So you need someone that's that you hold quite high, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, as an outside observer, you no doubt look down on. I will say that I think he's got a richer production sound on the album.
He's richer from doing it.
I've heard about that. But he has got a much richer sound as well, hasn't he? It's a rounder sound somehow. I don't know why or how.
It is a bit. It's a bit smoother actually. It's a smoother sound, and he has. It's obvious things, like we were never ones for making the vocals loud in tracks. We always sort of sat them back in with the music, and he sort of tried to pull that forward a bit. So there was a bit of a tug of war there. We were trying to, get a tug of war. Get George Martin tug of war. Very good.
All right. Before we have any more puns, a bit more music. This is Serenade, Ultravox from the album Quartet.
Serenade.
Serenade. That's Ultravox with music from their album called Quartet. This is the BBC Rock Hour with Richard Skinner and Midge Ure and Chris Cross of Ultravox. The title of the latest Ultravox album, Quartet, slightly puzzled me. Was there some deep meaning behind the name? Midge and Chris put my mind at rest.
the original idea for the title came from the idea for the sleeve.
Which we must say has a cover of it's got a picture of a building.
Yeah,
in it, hasn't it?
it's basically like 4 different views of a building.
A mythical building, we must add. It's just something that we've come together with. We got together with our graphics designer.
A man called Peter Saville.
Peter Saville.
People may know his work with Roxy Music.
That's right, yeah, and orchestral manoeuvres and a few other slightly tasteful people. And we built this mythical thing. We designed this mythical structure, which we've used in our videos and our stage set. I mean, it's the mainstay of a stage set just now. It's 30 foot tall. It's a bit much to carry around with you. Yeah.
It's a big album cover.
Yeah, so
musically, is there a thing, anything in quartet as well?
Not really, no. I mean, people instantly jump on the thing, yeah, quartet, 4 people, you know, sort of semi-classical flourishes in the music. And
well, they look for a concept album, you know.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, and it's nothing like that at all. I mean, you know, the album's just a selection of songs stuck together, really. There's no main theme running through it.
If that building forms part of your current visual image, previously I think people must have fallen over the remarkable video that you did for a song called Vienna.
Yeah.
Now, is Vienna, as a song which has become a classic around the world, has it become a bit of a sort of weight on the shoulders, really, something you'd like to shake clear of nowadays?
It's something that we never even really think about it at all, because we're just not that type of people. We don't sort of let something sit on our shoulders. It's just something that we did, and we'd never try and recreate that.
It's been hanging around a long time now, hasn't it? Because it still gets played, and it must be 2 years ago.
Oh, it's more than it. Well, we actually it was one of the first things we recorded when we did the Vienna album, which was done 3 years ago, and the single from the album wasn't taken off for another year. So when it came out and was incredibly successful, and everyone thought, oh, great, wonderful, this is really new, we were really fed up with it at this time, you know, because we'd heard it for a year and we'd written it, you know, 3 months before the album. So to us, it's just very old hat.
Well, for people who haven't heard it, cover your ears, gentlemen. For people who haven't heard it, this is the classic song Vienna, which really did do remarkable things for the group.
Did.
Vienna, 3 years old, still sounding fresh. That's Ultravox from their earlier period. People do still remark on the amazing power of the video, actually, don't they, Chris, for that?
Yeah.
A black and white thing, filmed very much as if it was in widescreen for the cinema.
Yeah, that's just a bit of trickery, actually. We film everything, actually. We don't do it on video. People keep calling, we call them videos as well. But that's because they end up as videos. But they start off life as a 16mm film. Yeah, I think so, yeah. Besides the fact that we really enjoy doing it, it means that you're that much more in control, because we're in control of everything we do. The artwork we do and the production we go, you know, we find the producers and we take all that weight and all that responsibility away from the record company, and we do all that stuff and present them with like a finished package almost.
How does what you do translate to the live performance? Because I know America is about to get a good taste of Ultravox live, and your sound does sound like a studio type thing.
It does a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, Chris, this other fella's been talking too much.
It's not a particular problem for us, because a lot of the keyboards and stuff like that we use in the studio, we can direct inject to PAs and stuff. So technically, all we have to do is work out how many hands we've got and who can play what bit at what time. And we just spend a long time doing that. And we actually rehearse for ages and ages and try and get it as good as we can. We don't actually try and recreate the record, though. Although everyone, when they see us, they're just really knocked out with how close it is.
With synthesizer playing, the problem is always that you're stuck behind the synth. Is there some other way that you try and make it, you know, a visual experience as well? Midge?
We spend, I mean, obviously you are restricted by what you're playing and how you're playing, because everything we play is live. We don't use pre-recorded tapes like a lot of bands using synthesizers do. So the only way we can actually expand on that is taking the initial idea of the album sleeve or whatever, and carrying it right the way through. We want to. It's almost like a uniformity. You start with a seed of an idea and expand on it as far as you can possibly take it. And in this tour, we've actually expanded the idea from the album sleeve all through the singles, through the videos, and through into the stage set. And we've got an enormous stage set that we're actually going to take over to America. And that way, what we're doing is creating the perfect environment to complement the music. And rather than just go on a bare stage, set up some amplifiers and some keyboards and go and play, you know, we spent a long time working. We spent 3 months building this stage set, designing and building it, and the lights. The light show is actually quite nice, quite tasty.
It's good. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Face in the window in the night.
Visions in Blue, the dramatic sound of Ultravox from their album Quartet. This Rock Hour special featured music from Ultravox and Thomas Dolby. The programme was produced in London by Martin Reams, and I'm Richard Skinner.
Thanks, Richard. The BBC Rock Hour special is brought to you by the Adolf Coors Company, brewer of Coors and Coors Light beer, and in part by Jensen Car Audio. Jensen, when it's the sound that moves you. Rock on.
Hope you enjoyed the music and interviews we had here with Ultravox and Thomas Dolby on KLOS Los Angeles.